I'm not having sex with me. Now you want to fix this?
You know, that if you can stay, like, notice if you get triggered, like, notice the tension in your body, notice that you may want to reveal that that's happening. And if you can really tune into the compassion of they're scared, what is the true emotion, and get to the core of that, and not the words that they're saying, because it's never about the trash. It's never about the sex. It's never really about these things. What it is about is usually an old artifact that
core injuries
is a core thing from childhood, from parental upbringing. And that is oftentimes what's at play in our relationships. We tend to attract people we like to work on these things with.
I'll add one more thing that is coming to me right now, which is we actually have a philosophy that it takes one person in the dynamic to completely transform the relationship. Mm-hmm. So let's say you come and you introduce this to your partner and you're getting nothing but resistance. Well, at that point, it may be time to take the leadership role and simply become as deeply immersed and educated in the distinctions, in understanding your partner, even if they won't tell you what they need or want, of how to feed them, mm-hmm. so that you can begin to feed them, so that they can start to be acknowledged and appreciated and seen, and so it starts to be down-regulate their physiology. Mm-hmm. And they start getting their needs met, and they start opening, like the heart begins to open, the opportunity and the possibilities of deeper connection start to open. And we've seen people effectively take this in their relationship without ever having one of these overt conversations, and their sexuality in their relationship is completely transformed.
And this is the turnaround that happened for Ian and I, was that I made a decision without even telling him that I was no longer going to blame him. I was no longer going to resent him. I was no longer going to do this. And I was not going to tell him. And for one whole year, I was going to be 100% all in shifting our relationship without even telling him or having a conversation or enrolling him in anything. And I remember that October, because I decided this in January of that year. I remember in that October, we were out on a pier in Jamaica. Our relationship had radically transformed. There was a lightning storm out in the ocean, and we were actually on a bed on the pier at a restaurant where they're serving food on the bed. And I told him, I said, have you felt anything different? Because our relationship at that point was just so sky high. Yeah. Is there anything different? Have you noticed anything different? He's like, I have. What have you been doing? And I revealed to him that I made a commitment to spending an entire year working on myself and working on the relationship, but not telling him one thing or actually asking one thing of him, and not blaming or resenting him for any of the past. And that was the major turnaround.
I love that. I mean, that's incredible, because I think so many people think, it takes two. But the idea that you do have control and you do have the ability to make those shifts in behavior and, sort of it's like feeding a starving person. They don't realize they're starving until they get those small bites of food, and then all of a sudden their appetite is voracious.
Exactly.
I think that is, an incredible thing for our audience to hear, because sometimes people might feel, I can't do this alone. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing in my power, but there actually is. And I think this is a great example of what they can do to get started.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the other thing is that if you've got years of resentments or years of not even having the ability to have a conversation about this, and you're having an expectation, Tony says something about expectations. There's
trade your expectation for appreciation, and your whole world changes.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's part of the structure, is like, if you're going in with the expectation that just because you learn this new thing, now all of a sudden your partner better get on board, you're probably in a world of hurt. You're asking for a world of hurt, because you've spent all this time to create the issue. Now it's time to unwind, and the unwinding takes time.
Yeah. Wow. Jaya, Ian. I feel like we've just tapped the surface. But I think that we've given our audience plenty of things to think about. Again, it's eroticblueprint.com/Robbins to go take
/Robbins.
/Robbins.
Eroticbreakthrough.com. I thought I heard you say something different, but
Blueprint,
eroticbreakthrough.com /Robbins.
Great. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. This has been absolutely enlightening. And I encourage everybody to, take the next step to take your relationship and your sex life to the next level, using this blueprint from Jaya and Ian.
Thank you so much.
It has been our great pleasure.
Yeah, it is an honor to be able to speak to everybody who's listening to this. And may the words that we have shared with you be the seed that creates total transformation, much more passion, and much hotter sex.
Yes, amen.
Amen.
The Tony Robbins Podcast is directed and hosted by Tony Robbins. Anna York is our editorial director and occasional host. Our executive producer is Carrie Song. Jamie Carvajal and Adriel De La Torre are our digital editors. Special thanks to Mary Buckheit